In today's lesson, we are going to start probability. But probability toda kudzitangira pa this subtopic experimental probability. Saka toda kutangira pa experimental probability. What do we mean by experimental probability? Let us take a scenario to help us understand experimental probability. Tirikuti, a farmer asks, will it rain this month? And it's a question. Kuchanaya here mwedzi uno. How best can we answer this question? The answer to the farmer's question depends on three things. Saka question yafunzwa anditi ndeyekuti will it rain this month? Saka we want to investigate this question. How best can we answer that question intelligibly? And Saka, the answer to the farmer's question depends on three things. Saka, the answer it's going to depend on three things. What are the three things? Chekutanga, it depends on the month. We want to know which month. Secondly, it's going to depend on the place. Kuti ndekupi. Saka place and month inotudza the particular climatic expectations we should have. And saka the month, the place where the farmer is, and what has happened in the past in that month at that place. So this happens to be the most important part of what we use to determine our answer, the past. Kana chiti the past tikurevei, what happened in the past in that place. Yatawana pa like preposition number 2. In that place in that particular month. Okay, saka number 3 happens to be the most important preposition pakuita come up with an answer, and I'm going to explain that in a few moments. Let me take a sidebar. There was an American writer by the name William Faulkner. He was a Nobel laureate. He received a Nobel Prize in Literature. In one of his books, I think it's Absalom, there's a certain statement which I enjoyed. That statement, that sentence says, the past is not dead. Actually, the past is not even past. The past is not dead. Actually, the past is not even past. Whatever the significance of history and how we commonly say history tends to repeat itself. History tends to exist, to express itself in cycles. So William Faulkner was trying to emphasize the importance of history and how history tends to repeat itself. There's also another saying in OT, those who do not learn from history tend to repeat it, something like that. Saka, this is just a philosophical undertone yatofangwa kuva nayo in knowing this. Kuti kana tichitaura about experimental probability, we are concerned with what happened in the past concerning event yatiri kuda kutaura nezvayo, and in context, rain. Mapabata. Okay. Saka our question, will it rain this month? Our answer is going to be based on 3 prepositions, mostly number 3, what happened in the past, concerning a particular place and a particular month. Okay, saka I'm going to bring about a table which is going to be telling us what happened in the past and it concerning this question. Saka this is the past. Panapa we have a column in the place tine Chirundu, Wange, Mutare, Gwanda. Then the month, January, July, March and September. Answer to the question, saka yes inoreva kuti it rained, no inoreva kuti it did not rain. Then maybe iri kutaura something like in the neutral zone. Maybe it rained, maybe it did not. Saka what we have in that table is the past. Murupabata. Saka we have different places, different months. Saka those months are linked to those places and the answer to the question also linked to the month and place. Okay. Is it possible to give a more accurate answer to a farmer in Gwanda in September? And saka if we have a farmer who is in Gwanda in September, is it possible to give a more accurate answer? Okay. It is known that an average of 10 millimeters of rain falls in Gwanda in September. Saka patakuchita further elaborate. And you should have a working knowledge of how rain is measured, how we use, I think it's called a rain gauge. And tinongotora some instrument called a rain gauge to track a very suitable place to place it. Then when it rains, it collects the rain. Then we know the millimeters of the rain which fell. And it. Saka, it is known that an average of 10 millimeters of rain falls in Gwanda in September. However, this is an average found by keeping records over 12 years. Saka zviri kuitika apa kuitira kuti musakanganwa tikufollowa a certain tract. Saka tatanga tichifunza generally kuti is it going to rain this month? Saka question yedu yabvunzwa by farmer ndeyekuti will it rain this month? Then let us say Guti, the answer which is being proposed by, we can say, an agronomist, an expert in something to do with agriculture, and kufunza, and it tichavunza which place and month. Then the farmer is going to elaborate Guti Gwanda in September. Sakatapiwa the place and the month. Sasa takuita taita zoom in, takuda kungotarisa this part. This part. Rupa bata. Saka patiri kuti maybe apa, what do we mean? Patiri kuti maybe, tiri kuti we have an average and of 12 years. Kureva kuti ma September are consecutive in 12 years. We were taking a record of how much rain. So this average of 12 years is equal to 10 millimeters. And so I suppose we want to answer the question because when this farmer, this is not like a marketplace conversation where no. This is a farmer who has gone to a specialist. Sakaruda a more specialized answer. So in order for us to get this specialized answer, we are going to be using mathematics. Saka, we need to know what is the record of these 12 years. The numbers which were used to get to this average. So this average is found by keeping records of 12 years. the actual rainfall for Gwanda in September over the 12 years was as follows. So let me give you the values. So those are the values, right? Kureva kuti panapa tiri kuti 12 years dzatiri kuita account for, maybe tiri kuti year number 1 number 2 zvichingoenda mukatoverenga munoona kuti we have 12 values. Kureva kuti we have a value for each year in this 12 year period. Saka kuti tiwane average, what do we do? Average simply means we are going to add all these values. Saka tikuwana the sum of monthly values over, this is not monthly, forgive me, the sum of yearly values, because Tatara this is for the year, over number of years. Saka typically we are teacher add 18 plus 0 plus 17 and so plus 9 plus and so forth, plus the last value which is 6. We are going to then divide this by 12. Mukazviita izvi ndo patiri kuwana the average of 10 millimeters. But isusu we are not looking for the average. Tikuda kuanza question yekuti is it going to rain in September kuGwanda? In order for us to answer this question, we are going to be now using the data we have. Saka data iri manje kana muri kufollowa, data rino ndochi the past. Saka experimental probability, it is strongly linked to the past. We are going to use the past. Faulkner, the past is not dead. The past is not even past. Saka we are going to use the past to determine what might happen in the future. Murukupaona. That is the science iripo. Because we are humans, we are fallible. Kureva kuti we are limited. The past we have it in record, but the future is always uncertain. Saka kuti tive ne yatingati an intelligent guess, it's not necessarily a guess. Kuti tive ne some level of certainty kuti chi chingangoitika, we rely on the past to infer what happened in the past into the future, but we are not always right. But we are better off than munhu ari kungogesa. From the above data, that table I gave you, it can be seen that rain fell in 9 out of the 12 months of September. Saka my data values are each is representing the rain which we got in September in that particular year. But tikatarisa panapa, handikono kumodel yedu yanga chiti yes no yes. Sa mukatarisa pano munoona kuti mayes edu mangani. Kureva kuti kwakanaya mwedzi wa September mugore rino iri. Saka it's 1 2 pese patine positive value 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Then mwedzi isina kunaya, mwedzi ya September isina kunaya pamakore 12 aya, ichi 1 2 3 like this. Saka we are now going to Moses Zinoita science. Let me take a detour panapa. When you study science, when you study, be it ma natural sciences, kana tavanoti ma physical sciences, physics, chemistry, biology, ma pure sciences, be it yavanoti ma tingati economical sciences, the Nobel Committee recognizes economics as a science. Saka economical sciences, tukutarisa economics, tukutarisa ma commercial subjects, but are maths heavy. We always have what we refer to as axioms, kana kuti laws, in simpler terms assumptions. And so an axiom, a law, an assumption, we make that assumption so that we can measure things easily, you know. In the natural world, things are too much interdependent and it is really too much interconnected. Andika? Saka what we do is kuti tiwane chatikuda kumeasure, we try to control for ma variables. If we go into the lab, for example, tikada kumeasure the effect of something, tinotrya kucontrola zvimwe zvese zvinogona kukonzeresa chinhu chatiri kutsvaga, kuitira kuti kana tikasara ne1 aspect tinogona kuzoconcluda kuti no, this aspect ndo yakonzeresa that, because zvimwe zvese zvingakonzeresa zvatinoziva taita control tazvibvisa. That is in a lab setup. That is what we try in a lab. But in the natural world, in real life, you cannot do that. So you have to come up with assumptions, laws, axioms. Saka an assumption yatinoita under experimental probability in the inoi, let us write it down. It's a note. So this is the assumption made under, and I'm going to go to probability, but in particular experimental probability. Assumption yacho inoti, in context, if future years follow the pattern of the past, and it saka we assume the future will follow the pattern of the past. And the assumption itinoita all the time. That is the reason why when Paul claimed to have been converted to Christianity, people were skeptical about that, because the natural assumption there guti the past infers the future. Saka kana munhu aimboba sehama dzedu dziri kumajeri kuti vaite reintegrate into society, it's naturally difficult for people, because the natural assumption there guti we infer the past to the future. Rupabata. Saka we are going to assume that the future depends on the past. So rekatinyora a statement iri in context of what we are doing. Saka statement yedu ingeshiti, if future years follow the pattern of the past, future years follow the pattern of the past, and it is likely, what is it likely? It is likely that Gwanda will get rain in 9 out of 12 Septembers. That is 9 over 12, tukasama 3 becomes 3 over 4. Word iri ratati likely iri, probability kana tichidefine, it's simply a measure of likelihood. Kana chiti chinhu chingangoitika tikatora past data on that event, and then we make a calculation, number yatinobuda nayo ndo probability. Saka probability is a measure of the likelihood of an event. Kana mchida kunyora in full, the measure of the likelihood of an event. That is what probability simply is. Saka ni makaita 9 over 12. Because trikuda probability yekunaya. Saka tatora value ye nguva dzese dzakanaya in the past 12 years, it was 9 times over the total, which is 12. That is where we get 9 over 12. That is our experimental probability. Okay. Saka probability manje yava 3 over 4 tinogona kuzoinyora eventually as 0.75, and mchaona kuti kunyangwe generally kumaths tisingafariri madecimal, kana taku probability tinomafarira sisingaite. And I'm going to show you the reason why. Saka, let us write more notes. I encourage you in your notebook, jump by a line, because today you are with a natural flow from what we have written. We should know kuti probabilities are bound between 0 and 1, and it or 0 and 100, but 0% and 100%, but kutaura chokwadi we usually just take it kubva pa0 kusvika pa1. Saka kana nchiti probabilities are bound, ndiri kuti we have something like this. Kunoku kuna 0, uku kuna 1. Saka kana tichiti 0 kuma probability, tikati chinhu chine probability of 0, tiri kuti this cannot happen at all. Anditi? Saka no chance of happening, no chance of event happening. Kurota hazvitoitike mapabata. Then panapa kana probability 1, tiri kuti there is a perfect chance of happening. Saka zviri kuitika pano patinge tichibva ku0 tichienda kuna 1, tiri kuincrease likelihood yechinhu kuti chiitike. Tikabvawo kuna 1 tichidzokera kuna 0, tiri kureduce likelihood yechinhu kuti chiitike. So if probability is 0, zvoreva kuti chinhu hachitoitike. Probability is 1, zvoreva kuti chero zvikadii chichaitika. Asi kana probability iri for example panapa 0.9, zvoreva kuti chine a very high chance yekuitika. Probability ikavawo 0.1, a very low chance yekuitika. Asi kana probability ikava 0.5, zvenge zvichirevei? Zvoreva kuti pane half chance yekuti itike. Saka there's a half chance yekuti chinoitika, another half chance yekuti hachiitike. You get it? Yeah. Saka I can just give a general example like kuti what is the probability yekuti amai vakazvitakura vanozvara mukomana kana kuti vanozvara musikana. It's just something chatoda tese togona ngochikonewa tese oro kuchigona tese. Saka muchandibatsirawo panapa. Just something we want to do together. Kuti mwana ave mukomana, tinoziva kuti we have the father and mother. Anditi? Tinoziva kuti baba vane XY chromosomes. Toziva kuti mai vane chi XX. Apapa I'm venturing into something I'm not so much privy to, but I think this is how it is. Saka baba vanoendesa XY in his spermatozoa, of course. Then the mother, it will be something like this. Then biology is going to decide either pa XY apa, because mai vanenge vauisa X kumwana. Saka mai vanenge vaendesa X kumwana, then it will be decided whether baba vachaendesa X here kana kuti Y. Saka panapa pana baba apa ndo panenge paine question mark. Vakaendesa X musikana, vakaendesa Y mukomana. So we can actually calculate the probability of it happening, because my thinking was I don't think it's going to be 0.5%. Saka let us leave it here. We're going to come back to it, or maybe we'll find it in some test or something. Okay. Saka zvinenge zvakuitika manje ndeizvama. Takuchidzokera ku question yedu iya. Mofanga kuziva kuti manyorero atinoita tinongoshandisa PR zvinomirira probability. Saka apa tiri kuti probability of raining ndiyo iri equal to 9/12, which we reduce to 3/4, which is 0.75. What then is the probability of not raining? Kureva kuti probability yekuti hakunai. Tikada kudzokera kumusoro kunoku kuti tione kuti probability yekuti hakunai, tinoona kuti hakuna kunaya 3 times across 12 years. Saka probability yacho ndi 3/12. handiti 3/12, which is a quarter, which is equal to 0.25. chanda kuda kuti muchicherechedza, which is very very important, is this. Mukatarisa muchaona kuti tikatora these two numbers tikadziedha dziri equal to 1.00 rupabata. Saka this is a dichotomy. This is a binary, of course. Think of it logically. Kana kukasanaya handiti it's either kuchanaya or hakunai. Like hatina nzvimbo iri pakati yekuti kuri kunaya hakusi kunaya at the same time. That is why probability yekunaya plus probability yekusanaya zvofanirwa kuti pa1. And patataura chiti probabilities are bound, tiri kureva kuti mukazowana probability ya 3 tongoti your answer probability root is equals to 3. You are wrong by principle. Okay. Saka that is also something to watch out for. Saka we say that the probability of raining in Gwanda in September is 9/12, which is 3/4 or 0.75. This probability can never be exact. Remember, trukushandisa an assumption yekuti zvakaitika in the past zviri kuinfluenza zvinoitika in the future, and we are usually right, but we are not exactly right. Kureva kuti isusu patinge tichitaura chiti apane probability ye 0.75 kuti kunaye, mukatarisa paspectrum yedu 0 zvoreva kuti hakunai, 1 zvoreva kuti kuchanaya obviously, then panapa ndo pane 0.75 kureva kuti chance yekunaya yakakura kudarika chance yekusanaya. But hazvireve kuti mwedzi uno kuGwanda September kuchatonaya, zvinongoreva kuti pane chance hombe yekuti kuchanaya. Saka this is not magic, this is not soothsaying or prophesying. This is just our human way of trying to predict the future using the past. Saka those statistics, this is called inferential statistics. No need to write that because it's outside scope. However, the probability can never be exact. However, it is the best measure we can give from the data we have. So in a personally, I would take a statistician who calculates probability over a prophet. That's me. And because we have seen a lot of trouble in that area. Okay. So the number is 9/12 based on experimental records. It is an example of experimental probability. The experimental probability inoshandisa the past to determine the future. So we are going to have one example. Yatichaita tese. Then I'm going to give you one question here homework. I expect that everyone anoita. It's just one question. It's a tricky question, that one. You are going to enjoy mangwana patenge taku mangwana, because mangwana truda kuita probability as a fraction ndo yatruda kuita. So let us go into our example and call it a day. And futi please think about this question. Nyeyo ndangoifungira mu nonzichi mu lesson. Think about this question. I think it's interesting. What do you think is the probability of mwana ntamkomana or msikana? Is it 0.5? Is it an equal chance? But I doubt it's an equal chance because patori ne bias, but think about it. Let's do the example. Advice yangu before tichiri kuita example hii, probability ikauya kupaper 2 ku section B kuya kwa munosarudza kana musiri sure siyana inayo, machances ekukoniwa probability akakura stereki, because unogona kutofunga kuti runyora chaizvo uchinyora zvisizvo. It's very foreign. Our minds cannot think probabilistically. Our minds cannot think probabilistically. It's really difficult, very difficult. Let me give you an example. Ku statistics kune yavanoti the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers inotaura iyo ichiti kana chinu event handiti kana chinhu chikaitika for as many times as possible, there is a very high probability yekuti tiwane zvatiri kutsvaga. Murupabata. It's called the law of large numbers. And zvekuti vanostarta science vanoti layman, the law, because we people, we don't understand the law of large numbers, we call it luck, we call it what's the other term, coincidence, because our minds cannot compute large amounts of data. Saka example yavanopanda iyi, imagine kuti tine vanhu 100 and iloto zviri kunzi we are going to be tossing a coin, kuita toss a coin, heads or tails. Saka pamunotosa for the first time, there is a high probability, because a coin only has two possibilities, head or tail. Saka there is a high probability yekuti 50 vachaita toss heads, 50 vaita toss tails. It's not exact. Togona wana 54 vaita heads, togona wana 46 vaita tails, but number yacho inenge iri so much close to 50. Zvobva zvanzi vematails dzokerai kumba, kosara let us assume 50 vemaheads, vodzokorodza the same process, towana 25 heads, 25 tails. Vematails dzokerai kumba, dzokorodza the same process. Panapa inenge it's hatingati hedu 12 and a half, let us say with it's 13 and 12, 13 heads, 12 tails. Cheka. Then panapa let us now assume kuti takuti half of, saka takuti 6 heads, 7 tails. Cheka wema tails, 3 heads, 3 tails. Cheka ma tails. Saka mchaona kuti eventually kuchasara munhu 1. Saka mathematics dzinopredicta kuti out approximately out of 10 matrial tichasara nemunhu 1. Asi maths hadzitiudzi kuti ndeani manje. Rupabata. Saka a statistician anosvika oona vanhu 100 oti after 10 matos we are most probably going to be left with only one person, our winner, but agoni kunongedzera kuti ndeuyo. Saka winner manje nekuti winner haanzwisise kana kuti the law of large numbers, it doesn't occur to them. They will then think you they are very lucky, maybe they think they are special. You are not special. It was obvious kuti kuchasara munhu 1. Maybe you are special over kuti ndiwe wasara, but kuti titeste kuti you are special mathematically tofanira kukuisa mu 10 rounds woita kana kuti 8 wowina ka 8 ndo, but not maybe this one something is happening. Murubata. So this is just something on the law of large numbers. It's interesting. Saka the law of large numbers typically notaura ichiti if you try something again and again and again and again and again, you are increasing the probability of getting there. So even grift culture, hustle culture, vanoti how many hours, if you put in 100 hours to learn a skill, you are going to be good at it. I think it's not 100 hours, it's 1,000, something like that. They are just telling you about the law of large numbers without telling you. Okay, let us go to business. Okay, this is our example. Let us work through it. A girl writes down the numbers of male and female children of a mother and father. She also writes down the numbers of male and female children of her parents, brothers and sisters. Her results are shown in the table below. The moment we have a table of results, zvinoreva kuti we are dealing with experimentalized kana kuti experimental probability. Saka table yacho, maybe let me reproduce the table. Table iri kuti mother and father, yati mother's brothers, mother's sisters, father's brothers, father sisters totals. Anditi? Saka number of male children and female children. Saka apo pekutanga it's 2, 6, 4, 5, 7, total e 24. Anapa it's 5, 8, 8, 8, 7. Saka total ichi 36. Those are Saka this girl ari kuda ku answer certain questions. Kuva ne an intelligent answer. Saka aita list down the number of male and female children from her family. The mother and father had 2 boys, 5 girls. Then the mother's brothers had 6 boys, 8 girls. The mother's sisters is 4 boys, 8 girls. The father's brothers 5 and 8, and father's sisters 7 and 7. So question yatavunza yaya patakachitaura about probability yekuti pazvaro mwana mukomana uri musikana. Saka tinogona kuitarisa neangle ye chromosomal compatibility, kureva kuti the father providing XY, the mother providing XX. Saka we are localizing it, but tinogona kuitarisa futi neimwe angle tovunza kuti vana vakazvarwa gore rino vangani. Muri babata? Kwakazvarwa vana 2 million. Vakomana vangani? Vakomana 400,000. Saka probability yekuti kuzvarwa mukomana inenge 400,000 over 2 million. You've answered the question. You see? So mofonga ku there are angles to this thing. Okay. Iri kuti kudini? Iri kuti find the experimental probability. Saka imi kana mako answer ZIMSEC haizokupi hint yekuti experiment awi. Mufonga uziva mega. Find the probability that when the girl has children of her own, her firstborn will be a girl. Saka tukuda the probability of having a girl. But not mbate zvaitika pano. What we have panapa this data is the past. Zvinhu zvakatoitika. Vana ava vakatozvarwa. Then musikana uyu ari kuti since I belong to this family, I can use that data to try to infer, to try to investigate kuti kweniniwo panchazoroorwa in the next 10 years. Firstborn yangu anenge ari musikana here. What is the answer? What we do is tinotarisa kuti vasikana vakazvarwa mufamily vangani 36 over kovana vese vakazvarwa mufamily vangani tinovawana by adding 36 plus 24 60. Saka our answer will be 36 over 60. Are we together there? Then chandokukurudzirai, of course we have to reduce this tikaisa 12 for example into 36 anotipa 3 into 6 anotipa 5. Saka 3 over 5 as a fraction like that. Kurauti ndo probability iripo yekuti aite mwana musikana for the first time. Kuti munyatso kunzwisisa kuti probability yakamira sei, kuti tiinterprete ma probabilities tinowanzo kushandisa ma decimal values. Saka 3 dividing 5 ndi 0.6. Saka ani 0.6 chance yekuita musikana. But ndoda kuti mugone kuita read in between the lines ku probability. Because question iyi kai mufanga kugona kuanswer question isina kufunzwa. Question isina kufunzwa ndiye kuti probability of not girl. Probability yekuti asaita musikana munogona kuicalculate in 2 ways. Munogona kuti kana chiti not girl, of course we are meaning a boy. Kana siri musikana mukomana. Saka vakomana vakazvarwa vangani 24 over total number yevana. Munowana futi answer in this way, but a more intelligible way yekuwana answer kungoti 1 minus 0.6 0.4. Why tati 1 minus 0.6? Because tichazozviita but panapa tenge tashandisa anonzi ma complements. Kana tichivunza chance probability yekuti paitwe musikana opposite ya probability yekuti paitwe musikana iprobability yekuti paitwe mukomana. But tinogona kuvhunza question iyoyo tichiti probability of not girl or probability of boy. Zviri kubatika here hama dzangu? That's probability for you. Saka pamunovhunza probability zvekutoti inini maitiro andaizviita pandakaita introductory statistics, ndaiti pandinoverenga question ndichinyora maprobability angu ndaitonyora s ari 2, probability yezvataurwa neprobability yenot. And this word not, it's jargon, ndo language yekustatistics kuti not. Takaita set theory mukoma George, remember takaita set theory, maybe tichazoirevisa tichita matutorial. A ndikashedha kunoku ndikati tell me kuti kunonzi chii, handakati kunonzi a totaisa kadhotaka zvinoreva kuti a complement. Chiri zvorangarira kuti a complement kureva kuti kunze kwa a, saka ndo same language iri kushandiswa panapa zvekutoti patati probability of not girl up tachigona kuti probability of girl complement. Saka probability neset theory ihama zvekutoti vamwe vanoto like this book I have, introductory first year statistics dzekunoku, first topic iripo iset theory before tatoita probability. You must understand masets before waita probability. Mpabata. Okay, saka question yekutanga it's fairly well. Ndoda kuti tichitarisa the second question muone kuti vanogona kutanga kuchitamba nemi manje matrix. Saka matrix ari uku manje ndeaya b. Dati tiverenge b munyatsokunza kuti vari kuti kudini. Vari kuti if the girl eventually has 10 children, how many are likely to be male? Saka question yekutanga yanga ichiprojecta kuti musikana uyu achiri kamhandara, but ari kuzvibvunza adzidza statistics akuda kuziva kuti inini ndinofarira kuita mwana musikana, probability yekuti musikana ichi ndikatarisa family history yangu, and because of gene pool and stuff toziva kuti family history inota determine something on us. Mukatoenda kuhospital muine zvimwe zvirwere vanogona kutokufunzai kuti tiri kuona senge muri kudevelopa breast cancer. In your family pane here munhu akamboita breast cancer, kana kuti in your family pane here munhu akamboita sugar. Kumachechi tovatati generational case, but kuhospital tenge tichiti zviri muropa renyu. So maybe zvinosangana somewhere zvinosangana somewhere kubheri ikoko. Zviri heredity ndo yatiri kutaura, zviri hereditary, but it's heredity, but zvine kamwe futi kanyuanzi karipo kana chitarisa evolutionary biology. Okay, question number b iri kuti musikana uyu atova nevana 10 and hatisi kuziva kuti vakomana vangani vasikana vangani. Tichishandisa family history vangava vakomana vangani. Saka pakadai so zvamunoita tinotanga tatsvaga the probability of male, ndo yatacalculata tikaona kuti 0.4. Tazviita sei? It's either tati 24 over 60 kana kuti tati 1 minus 36 over 60 tikaona 0.4. Saka probability yekuti pave nemukomana i0.4, but isusu question yatudza kuti patova nevakomana 10 already. Handiti? Ende question yedu ndoda kuti muichenjerere kuti yati likely. Kurota haisi kutaura kuti tikaita methods tinobva tatoziva kuti vakomana vangani, asi tikaita methods tinowana a likelihood, it's a measure of likelihood. Tiri kutarisira, hatizivi hedu kuti vakomana vakazvarwa vangani, but tiri kutarisira kuti vangangova vangani. Then mozoudza kuti ndakaita vakomana vakati vasikana vakati, totorit. Saka probability dzedu dzanga dzakatsveyama neapa. Tinozvitarisira kuti probability haizi prophecy. probability inzira yedu vanhu yatakagadzira yekushandisa zvatinoziva kuwana zvatisingazive, kuwana mukana wekuitika kwezvatisingazive. Saka taona kuti probability yemale ingani, tobva tati question yati how many are likely to be male. Samagona yenyu kuti likely to be male. Handidi kuti muti male as if mutotaura kuti nhamba yevakomana vangani. Ndoda kuti murambe muchirangarira kuti likelihood. Handidi. Saka likely to be male tinongotora probability yemale tomultiply nenhamba yevana vaitwa nemusikana vanova 10. Saka vangangova vakomana i4. Zvapera. That's the end of it. Mapa bata. Okay. So I'm going to give you one question. Munge maita before tomorrow's lesson. And I want you to think about this question. I employ, don't use artificial intelligence if you cannot use it. Pane nzira yekushandisa AI. Nzira yacho ndeyekuti hamubvunzi AI answer. Hamutori question mongoisa mu-AI moti tipe answer. Munoita kuti AI ikubatsirei pakufunga kwamai muchiita. Munobvunza ma-questions kwe-AI, not kupa AI the actual question. So you can do that to be aided in your thinking. But this is not for marks, it's just to tell you something about probability which we haven't discussed today. Then mangwana tiri kuda kuita probability as a fraction. So takuda uchitanga the working part of probability as a function. Then amwe matopics atichaita handizoti mangwana Wednesday kana Thursday. Alright. So that is what we do Thursday. Then on Friday we are most likely to do theoretical probability. Apa ndo panenge pakuchipinda nhau dzekuti hatitori na past data. Murupaona? Saka apa takuchitangira like experimental probability tinotarisa kumasure kuti titite maine zviri kumberi. But theoretical hatina past data. Saka tiri kushanda nezvatinazvo kuti tione kuti chii chingangova kumberi. That is also going to be. Tikapedza theoretical tinenge tapedza probability dzeform 3 tobva taenda kuprobability dzeform 4.